Today on Erix Reviews, we're taking a look at Captain America: Brave New World, the latest, and to be precise, 35th entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Some people would have you believe there's a lot riding on this movie, like it could ultimately make or break a once powerful franchise depending on how things turn out, commercially. What do I think? Let's take a look. The way modern film hyping works nowadays is it's all built around a pop culture zeitgeist narrative. And the dilettantes, who pretend to be critics in the internet sphere, simply propagate whatever narrative is the order of the day. Right now, the narrative is that Marvel has lost its mojo. And so this thing got bad reviews. However, exit polls and general box office numbers seem to suggest that audiences have enjoyed it. Me? I basically liked it. I think all the individual pieces are fine. It essentially holds together as a thriller. It works. And it put the final nail in the coffin of any minuscule amount of faith I still had in most web-based film outlets and or YouTubers to actually think critically and honestly. They're all a bunch of grifters. They play a pretty transparent game. Anyone who doesn't follow the narrative is either a shill or a hater. And I feel sorry for the people who buy into that and allow some asshole with glasses and a beard down to his nutsack to dictate their tastes. Anyway, rant over. My point is this. The latest Captain America movie is nowhere near as bad as a large portion of the basement-dwelling tastemakers would have you believe. But being 100% honest, it's also not great. What it is, enjoyable, watchable, serviceable comic book escapism to distract from the February doldrums. It does have one thing going for it. It isn't very funny. You know what I mean? This isn't something that bothers me personally, as I like it when comic book movies are bright and fun and even campy, but there is a general complaint, again, part of the narrative, never forget, that Marvel movies are too full of jokes and humor, and they just aren't dreary and dark and depressing enough to satisfy what it seems most people are looking for in their blockbuster escapism, which is apparently to walk out of the theater wanting to fucking die. But anyway, my point is this. This is a grittier picture than the customary Marvel fare. There is an attempt to keep things grounded and real, even with the big monster fight scene at the end. More on that presently. Much like the Winter Soldier before it, it's taking its cues from serious thrillers and giving it a comic book spin. So look at it this way. The Winter Soldier was riffing on paranoia thrillers of the 1970s, like 3 Days of the Condor. And to that effect, they cast Bob Redford in a pivotal role. Well, this one seems to be riffing on high-tech, politically ambiguous thrillers of the 1990s, like Clear and Present Danger. And to that end, they cast Harrison Ford as the President of the United States, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. He picks up the role originated by the late William Hurt. But it's weird because having Ford in this role just works better. It suits the riff so much better. In any case, I have to figure once Ford was cast, the script was then shaped around that, to actually be a riff on a Tom Clancy thriller. And I guess the movie is actually all the better for it. Where the seams start to show is in the fact that, all things considered, it's a relatively muted and low-key affair in terms of stakes. The storyline is built entirely around the premise of wanting to publicly discredit and humiliate the American president. Its biggest crisis point involves preventing a potential war between the US and Japan, which, fair enough, but these movies feel bigger when they have massive, world-altering James Bondian threats at their core, and this one, at the end of the day, just boils down to a sinister bad guy wanting to make the POTUS look like an asshole. Honestly, given the way things have turned out in real life, that's not much of a stretch, is it? Not to mention that the stakes feel even lower when you realize that were the climax of this film to take place in real life, it seems that nobody would actually give a shit. That's another one of the film's problems. The whole movie is constructed around a big third-act reveal. But so is the film's marketing, which means that the film will hold no real surprises for anyone who's even vaguely aware of the film's existence. And it's a catch-22, because the big twist is the best thing about it, I guess. Certainly the most interesting element, and precisely the kind of big-ticket, you-gotta-see-it hook that would bring people into the theater. They want to see Harrison Ford in those specific circumstances, so I guess the big question is it worth it? Does buying a ticket justify the popcorn movie excitement of a 7-minute action sequence? Sure, why not? I certainly don't know how they could have made it better unless they had built the whole movie around a rampaging, digitally enhanced Harrison Ford, as opposed to just the last dozen or so minutes, but that would have been a different movie. A better one? Maybe. But this one, for what it is, gets the job done. It's fast-paced, has a lot of big action, likable actors giving good comic book performances. You could do a lot worse. Hope you enjoyed that review, and if you did, please give me a like and share the video, and please subscribe to my channel. There's already some good stuff there, and there's plenty more on the way. See you soon.